Namaskaram. I am Vasudevan here from Ayurvedic Pharmacy Group, Coimbatore. Today, I am here to share my Ayurvedic thoughts on infectious diseases in the context of COVID-19. Today, world is in fear that a pandemic disaster has been happened and that an infectious disease, a communicable disease that has spread over, and the world is suffering a lot, and a lot of people died, millions of people suffered with the sickness, and we are still don't know what to do and how to escape and curb it away. I think this must be the one of the pandemic disaster that the world has ever witnessed. And it is also quite new for all of us. So, it is a serious, very serious outbreak that was quite unexpected. Infectious diseases in general is communicable diseases that easily spread from one person to the other. That infection happening from person to person. And there are different types of infectious diseases. And this particular disease, COVID-19, started in Wuhan, in China, about 6 months ago, as an epidemic disease. That was the disease first emerged in the local area in a city called Wuhan. And gradually it started spreading and became pandemic and crossed the boundaries and spread over. Now the world is suffering with this disease. And the most serious issue that it's fast and very quickly spreading and even taking the lives of thousands of people. The sad thing that so far no proper medicine or vaccination has been discovered. And also no confirmed medication for this. So once you got it, you don't know what to do and how to escape. That is a very sad situation today. And it is not easy to handle it or manage this particular disease. There are many reasons for that. One thing that this disease is quite new. No one has got an experience of managing it before because this is a new disease. Secondly, it is a fatal disease that once you got infected, and if it is a severe infection, then it may lead to death. So it's a fatal condition. And thirdly, it doesn't have that fixed kind of syndromes or symptoms. It appears, it manifests in different forms in different people. So that one cannot have or you cannot have a fixed medicine for that because you need to attend the different conditions of it. It's a very, very complex or complicated situation actually, that one medicine for one disease is not working because not one type of condition, there are different types of a complex symptoms appearing in this. So it's difficult to deal with medicines in that sense. So what we are doing now is what's available today is the precautions. The precautionary measures like wearing mask and sanitizer, social distancing, immunity booster, like that. There are different things that are now being used. So this disease is due to virus. That is a modern understanding of it. So it appears without any kind of pre-symptoms, or there is no premonitory symptoms for that, just appearing. It's a transfer from one person to the other. So you cannot be prepared for that, because all of a sudden it comes, the onset is all of a sudden start manifesting. So it's just like a transfer from one person to the other. And it is believed that it's a kind of virus. It's a new virus, they say. So this virus is a microorganism, and that is undetectable. You cannot find it. It is very subtle, and it's not a bacteria, it's not a fungal infection, it is virus, and which is undetectable and hosting into cells like parasites. Once it enters your body, then it survives and it exists in the cells and starts spreading and destroy the entire system. And that is why it is very difficult, because one cannot identify it before the onset. So you don't know when it would occur or when it would start manifesting. It can come into any body at any time. What is said in this, that this kind of virus can't survive in air. It can survive in a living cell or living organ or living organism, and it can spread through saliva, sputum, or Doppler, like that. It can spread from one person to the other. So this is the modern understanding of this particular disease. Let us see what Ayurveda can do in this, or Ayurvedic understanding. Even this particular disease is not known before, and even in Ayurveda it is something new. So we should have a clear observation of the symptoms. Ayurveda always like that, it works like that. It identifies the diseases or diagnose the diseases with the symptoms, using the tools like darshana, sparshana, and prashna. Darshana is observation, observing the patient. There are various aspects in that observation. And second is sparshana, by touch, feeling of hardness, cold, hot, like that. There are many things like that you can feel. And finally, the conversation. You can have a dialogue with the patient and get an idea of what it is. So with all these tools that you infer that this particular disease, and it is in a particular area, in a particular location, in a particular kind of pathogenesis or samprapti. In that way, Ayurveda really does the work, and the Vaidyas are doing this diagnosis of disease. The same can be applied in the case of infectious disease also. So the infectious disease or communicable disease is slightly different from the normal diseases, because the hetu or karana or the cause of the disease is not internal. The cause of the disease is external. There is an external cause and external reason for the onset. And it's a slow migration. It's migrating, the virus is migrating into the system. And this migrating through the orifices, it could be through the air, it could be through the water, it could be through the food, it could be through the skin. So it could be in any passage. There are different medias for that to enter and get into the body. So there is an entry of something. That is the interesting thing. In the normal diseases like gastro or heart diseases and many kind of diseases, a doshakopa or derangement is happening within the system because of some abnormal function inside. But in diseases like this, it's an external cause. There is an entry of something, and an element, a very subtle or minute element that is in a form of a spirit or in the form of an element that entering into the human body. And this is what we call agantu. Agantu means external cause. Once the cause is external, once it is entering into the body, then the things are changing. Because once entered the body, it started creating problems within the body and making derangement in the system, abnormality in the system, and it affects the normal functioning of the organs as well as the circulations as well as in the dhatus, everywhere, and start spreading. So in that case, once it is inside the body, it is not the virus really working. Virus is an entry. Once it is entered, it get localized in some areas. Like in this particular disease COVID-19, there are two things mainly that you can see. One is pneumonia or fever. So primarily it is a disease called fever. A fever due to a viral infection. Secondly, it is a very acute respiratory disease, respiratory complaints, breathing difficulties. So two things are there mainly. One is the respiratory system and other is the pneumonia or kind of fever. So the Ayurvedic understanding of this is that such kind of elements or the spirits entering into the system through something, it needs a media. That media could be anything. In the modern system, they say that it is through sputum or saliva, these viruses enter into the body. In the air, it can't survive. In the in the atmosphere, it can't survive. And in fire, it can't survive. It needs a living cell or living organism. So like that in the sputum or the saliva, it can enter inside the body. That's why that it's recommended like you use a mask or cover your face, because while sneezing or coughing, this should not enter, the saliva or anything should not enter into the system. That is the idea behind it. So it's a kind of protection or precaution that you take to stop the virus entering into the system. So once it is entered, then it is not the virus really acting inside the body. That virus can poison the system. The virus can poison your dhatus. Then the doshas are taking that responsibility. Is given to the doshas. There is a derangement of doshas in the system. Inside the body, the doshas are having the power, and the doshas start carrying this. And it's not the virus actually doing the work. The doshas taking into the system, into the dhatus, and getting vitiated. So in that case, once you are sick, the treatment goes to the doshakopa. The entry or the onset of the disease is due to an external cause. Once this external cause enter into the body, thereafter that doshas are involved. and these doshas are vitiated and getting into the dhatus and disturbing it. In that way, the body is getting sick. So, if the infection is very strong and severe, that may lead to death. If the infection is not so severe, it is mild, then you get some cough, cold, and some kind of discomfort and some kind of sickness, and you can also easily come out of it and get recovery. So, actually there are two types in it. It's a general understanding and general division of that. COVID-19 as mild infection and severe infection. In the mild infection, there is a mild derangement of doshas and a mild attack of the virus. So, it is directly to the lungs as well as the stomach. Ayurveda believes that if something is carried inside the body, or if it is really affecting your lungs or the respiratory system, it should definitely come through the breathing. So, it is the air that takes this virus inside, and first it is launching into the respiratory system. From there it is spreading to the stomach and causing indigestion and many other complications. Once the stomach is upset and indigestion happens, then from there the dosha started moving outside without having proper digestive process, then the doshas are coming to the skin and that causing fever. So, there is a samprapti, or Ayurvedic way, there is a samprapti which you call the pathogenesis of the disease. So, the question sometimes asked that is it a new disease? Yes, it is of course a new disease. Nobody knows about it before. So, how Ayurveda look at it? Because Ayurveda is a very ancient system or ancient wisdom, and which doesn't have this new diseases, and this is a very challenging. When a new disease is developed, you need to discover or invent medicine for that, which you don't have. So, how could Ayurveda approach, and what kind of access it has got in identifying or diagnosing disease, as well as in recommending medicines and treatment? This question is always being asked. It is very simple. It is true that Ayurveda is old, it is ancient, it is Purana. Purana means very old. But the literary meaning of the word Purana is not old alone. It is old but ever new. Ayurveda is old but it is ever new. If it is not ever new, how could it survive for the last 5,000 years? How the people are benefited? How would people accept it if we are not benefited and it is an outdated science? It is not outdated. It is refresh. It is new, ever new. In that way that the total science is constructed. It is constructed in a particular way that with an understanding that human being is akin to the universe, and a human being as a part of the universe. And Ayurveda is the science of life and longevity. It is a science not just life, divine life. In that case, the principles of life do not change at any time. Similarly, in the environment outside you that the principles of the universal principles or the universal phenomena doesn't change at any time. If the universal existence is changing, definitely a human being also has to change, because a human being is surviving in this nature. He is part of the nature, and the nature itself is providing everything to a human being for the survival. So you live because you have a surrounding. You live because you are in the nature. You live because you have an environment. So in that environment, if you want to be healthy, tune yourself to that environment and get it fixed. See, if you start polluting the environment, then the environment is providing everything to you in a polluted manner. So once you are taking or absorbing everything from this environment in a polluted form or in a distorted form, the same thing would happen in your system also. Your body will also contain that pollution. In that way, you are getting sick. So especially in the case of Agantu Jenaruga, the diseases that are external origin or with external causes, definitely the environment has a role in it. So in this epidemiology, that is a science or that is something related to the communicable diseases, the scientific term. In that, there are three things in an communicable disease. Number one is the agent. Number two is the host. And number three is the environment. What is number one? Number one is the agent. Because there are two things now. One is the individual and other is the environment. The individual living in the environment. Environment providing everything to the individual, and the individual survive with the environment. If the individual pollute the environment provides everything wrong to the individual. In that way, the individual is getting sick. So there is a transfer. Thus, the environment is transferring something to the individual, and individual survive. In that context, when there is an evil force or an external force or a virus, bacteria or a fungal infection in the atmosphere, and that causing the sickness in the system, that remains as an agent. So who is the agent? The agent is the virus. So for your sickness, there is an agent. That agent is the virus. Secondly, the host. Who is the host? Host is this person who is getting sick. Because the agent is a guest, and the guest is coming to the host, and host receiving it. So the host is the person. And third is the environment, from where you sent the agent to the host. So these three things are explained in the modern terms in the epidemiology, and the same thing is explained in Ayurveda in the Janabada Uddhamsana Adhyaya. Janabada Uddhamsana, what does it mean? Janabada is a community. A domestic community is called Janabada, where there are people living together in the society. Uddhamsana means destruction. So there is a kind of destruction happening to the Janabada. A human community or the domestic community is destroyed due to some reason, and there some kind of epidemics or pandemic diseases forming, and they are called Janabadothamsiniya, and they are transferring from person to person, and the entire community is getting affected or getting sick and destroyed. That is one type of Janabadothamsiniya. There is another type of Janabadothamsiniya which you can't do anything. You are totally helpless. No question of whether you are a healthy person or not. No question of whether you have the precautions or not. No question of your lifestyle is perfect. No question of whether you are young or not, because it is a devastating situation. Especially we had witnessed that tsunami that has happened a few years ago. When a tsunami comes, a hurricane comes, a flood comes, then what we can do? It destroys the entire community, not only human beings, all, including the trees, the lands, and animals, and the birds, everything, all domestic, everything is destroyed. In such conditions, these are very serious, severe conditions of Janabadothamsa. It is not kind of sickness, it is just destruction. But there are certain other conditions where there is diseases, which explained by Charaka in the Charaka Samhita. That is Vayu, air is getting polluted, and water is getting contagious, and Desha, so your Desha, the place where you are living, getting polluted, and also Kala, the time, the seasons getting changed. All these have an influence in your life. All these have an influence in your health. All these have an influence in your disease. So to decide whether you are healthy or sick, you need to know about your environment and tune yourself into that. So, how the infection comes? It could come through the air that you breathe. Secondly, the water that you take. And thirdly, the food that you consume. And fourth, the touch, the sparsha, or which you are in contact with. So these are the things that you have to be very careful in a disease, in the condition of virus and all. So Ayurveda is always aware of it. Ayurveda is always aware of it. Because in the Swastavrata part, that is the maintenance of health or preventive aspects, that is first described or explained in Ayurvedic scriptures. In that it is very clearly said, Na asamvrta mukhat kuryat chudi hasya vijramphanam. Na asamvrta mukhat kuryat chudi hasya vijramphanam. Chudi, sneezing, hasyam, laughing, vijramphanam, yawning. That everyone has got it, and we do it in the public. Sometimes open your mouth and start sneezing or coughing or laughing. But it is very much specified that you should not give an infection to others while doing it. Why? So you have to close your mouth with your hands while doing it. Asamvrta mukha. Samvrta mukha means closing the mouth with the palms. Don't do it without closing the mouth or closing your nose or closing your organs. So it is kind of protection that is already mentioned there. And also while going to take food, you need to clean your hands. And after food, clean your hand, clean your mouth, and take bath. So see, the most important factor in an epidemic disease is the unclean situation. That is the pollution outside, the pollution in the environment first, your garbage. And what is the point in this? How you put all waste on the roads and everything is dirty outside. It is very unhygienic situation outside, and you are wearing your mask and protecting yourself. There is no point in it. First thing is not protecting yourself, first thing is protecting the environment, the nature. And next is self-protection. So once the nature is clear, the environment is clear, you don't get any kind of infection. There is no possibility. Once it is dirty, there is kind of dirtiness coming in your system. So first thing is cleanliness. So it is very much specified in Ayurvedic scriptures how to live. There is a lifestyle mentioned. In that lifestyle mentioned itself, all these kinds of precautions are mentioned. That is an interesting thing. And so Ayurveda, if you ask me that if whether Ayurveda has got this particular type of disease, yes, of course, Ayurveda doesn't have particular types of disease. Ayurveda says that rogastu anantaha, diseases are infinite. So Ayurveda is not a science of medicine that dealing with contemporary issues or the contemporary diseases. It is a way, it's a method to approach all kinds of sickness, so that more than the diseases, Ayurveda giving importance to the dosha kopa, the vitiation of doshas, the fundamental principle of Ayurveda. Once you know it, you know how it manifests and where it manifests, where it localized, and how the pathogenesis go. So that way Ayurveda find out the sickness and give the treatment. So new disease is not a challenge or a threat to Ayurveda, and Ayurveda says that there is no such new disease in Ayurveda. So Ayurveda is not a disease-oriented medicine. It is a derangement-oriented medicine than a disease-oriented. So it is not time-bound disease. If it is time-bound disease, how it could survive? So people are benefited with Ayurvedic treatments and medicines. That's why it survived. So it is not a 21st century medicine, it is a medicine for all the centuries, in the past, present and future. Because it has the medicine, and some people ask whether you have a medicine for that. See, as far as Ayurveda is concerned, it is not a particular medicine for a particular disease and fixed. It is for a condition and which can be used in various situations, because Ayurveda has a holistic approach. It is not confined to a disease that manifested in a particular region and localized, because once you got vitiation of doshas inside the body, then only you are getting sick. So it is not in one part of the body. The manifestation happens in one part of the body, and there is a corresponding derangement in other parts of the body. So to cure this particular manifested disease in that particular area, that you need an approach of the entire system. That is why you call it holistic. So in uprooting the disease, your approach should be holistic. So in that way Ayurveda works. So Ayurveda doesn't have scarcity of medicines at any time. There is no need of discovering something new for that. You need to know how the available medicines can be used in a condition, not finding out a new thing. So it is not a discovery of the new medicine or new course of treatment for any kind of disease, not only COVID-19, any disease that you don't know. You have an approach and you have the medicines available for that. So it is a particular arrangement, a particular system that works. So when Jagatyevam Anaushadham, there is nothing in this world which doesn't have medicinal value. That each and every herb, each and every mineral has got a medicinal value. Charaka itself says about 6,000 herbs in it. So there is no scarcity of medicine. Only thing that you need to use the Ayurvedic principles in it, then get an accuracy in your treatment and accuracy in the diagnosis. Once you got the accuracy in diagnosis that this particular doshas are vitiated in this particular dhatu, then it is much easier. Your aim, your goal is very specific, and you can get the accuracy in your medicinal usage. Similarly in the treatment. So Let us come back to that COVID-19 and Ayurvedic approach. See, the infection is not happening in all. There are a lot of people in a community. One is getting sick, and this is transmitted or transferred to other person, and that person from him, due to contact, another person is getting it. It doesn't mean that everyone will get it. Why some people are getting and some people are not getting? That is the thing. It depends. Two things. One is the health condition of the person. If you are healthy and having enough immune power, and if you are young, then really no such virus can enter inside your body, because you have a good protection and you have an antiviral power to fight against your virus. So that is one thing. Second thing, that how severe is the attack of the virus. If it is severe, it would definitely come in you. If it is mild, then it doesn't affect you so much. So there are many different other factors that are to be taken into consideration in this regard. So it is already said that this virus cannot survive in air where it is getting fused. Then again, when it is coming to a living cell, it starts functioning. So it is getting fused in the air, in the fire, in the ether. Then where it can survive? It needs some kind of living organism or a cell for its survival. So it needs to provide something for that, something solid. So what is left in the Panchabhuta then? Only water, that is up, and Prithvi, earth. So these are the two bhutas in which it can survive if it is entering into a cell heavy. What are they? Let us see. This Prithvi and up combination is called kapha. So inside the body, if your kapha is prominent and got aggravated, then it is easier for this virus to infect. That is the situation. So an aggravated kapha condition is called kleda. So if you have kleda in your system, maybe due to your living conditions, the food, and many other factors. If you have kleda, kapha in your system, then it is easier to get infected. And when there is a kapha, the first infection goes, initially the infection goes to the lungs. And that is very evidently seen in this disease, that you are easily getting sick, and that happens to a respiratory system in the breathing. And it starts spreading then to the other systems. Next is indigestion, and that leads to fever. So there is a particular kind of dosha kopa happening in the system. So it is happening to the people who are having kleda. Kleda is kapha. And also other two doshas are equally involved and important in this particular disease. So it depends the severity of attack, and it depends the severity of the dosha kopa, the intensity of your symptoms. That is another thing. The next thing, Ayurveda has grouped it or categorized it in a particular section or particular category, which is called Sankramika Roga. Sankramika group. Sankramika means transferring from one person to the other, infectious. So what is that Sankramika? So this Sankramika is already there, the idea is already there. It is not a new idea. It is from ancient time we got the idea of Sankramika Rogas. There is a particular shloka in the Susruta Samhita in the Kushta Nidana, very interesting shloka, which self-explanatory. प्रसंगाल गात्र संस्पर्शाल निश्वासाल सहभोजनाल सहशय्यासनाच्चापि वस्त्रमाल्यानुलेपनात् प्रसंगाल गात्र संस्पर्शाल prasangal, too much of gatra samsparsha, human touch. So when you are in physical contact too much with others, nishwasal, shwasa is breathing. When you are close to others, your breathing goes to other people, and they also breathe the same. In that way, when that breathing goes in, then that is another reason. Sahabhojanal, eating together and taking from others. It is already forbidden in our system. Don't touch the waste of others. Don't touch the food of others. You take your own food. And there is also a lot of shicitva or cleanliness that you have to follow while taking food. Sahasagya, that is sleeping together or having sex together. Asanachavi, sitting together. Vastra malya anulepanal, vastra, using the clothes, ornaments, and cosmetic used by others. So these are the causes by which you get Sankramika Roga, communicable. It is very much specified that it is due to physical contact. So what you need is distancing, personal distancing or social distancing. It is not only social distancing, also personal distancing. So you have to keep it throughout your life, not just for the prevention of one kind of disease. The whole life you need to be away from all this. So personal distancing is very much specified. So what kind of diseases are grouped or mentioned in the Sankramika group? Let us see. Kushtham jwarascha shoshascha netra abhishyanda yevacha aupasargika rogamscha sankramanti narat nara. Kushtham, leprosy, that is skin disease. Jwarascha, fever. Shoshascha, depletion of dhatus, which is called Kshaya Roga. Netra abhishyanda, conjunctivitis of it's a kind of Netra Roga, eye disease. Aupasargika rogamscha. There is one type of disease called Aupasargika, it's a different category. Sankramanti narat naram. Narat naram sankramanti. That is transferred from one person to the other. In that way, it is spreading. It doesn't mean that all kinds of leprosy are like spreading, or all kinds of jwaras spreading, all kinds of kshaya is spreading. See, it is not like that. There are that particular type of jwara, fever, that is spreading. And COVID-19, the most prominent lakshana or symptom is jwara, fever, pneumonia. So we have to take that point exactly, that it's a jwara or disease called fever. There are different types of fever mentioned in the Shastra. Vata, Pitta, Kapha, Sannipada, like that there are Vishama jwara. There is one type of Vishama jwara which is in contact with others. And that particular type is coming to this category. So, Aupasargika rogaha. Upasarga. Upasarga means the root, the word meaning of upasarga is batha. Batha or entry. From this it is very clear what Ayurveda mentioned about virus. It's a kind of entry. Something is entering. A subtle element is entering which is invisible, or a certain kind of spirit that is entering. Without your knowledge, it is invisible. So there are many invisible beings in the atmosphere, Pratyaksham alpam analpam aprathyaksham. In this world, there are a lot of things that you can see, but more that you cannot see. So what you cannot see is more than what you can see. So there are many invisible objects, invisible elements, invisible bhutas in the atmosphere. In that environment that we are surviving, you know that today, tomorrow, there is an eclipse, a solar eclipse. And also there are seasonal changes happening. The ritu, from one ritu to the other, the ritu, that is the junction of a season. When the rain ends, then the next season begins. That is the autumn season begins. And there is a junction of the ritu. So this ritu doesn't show the lakshanas or signs of either of them, because it's a kind of transit from one to the other. So it doesn't show any kind of sign of, or it can have the sign of both. That time, lot of negative things happening in the atmosphere, on the earth and everywhere. So nature itself is changing. Even the influence of the stars, the moon and sun, everything is changing at that time. You know that when there is an eclipse, even an earthworm has got poison. That is our belief. That's why we believed, and that is still believing. An earthworm is poisonous at that time. So there is a kind of snake bite or insect bite on an eclipse day, then it is much more poisonous than a normal day. If there had a bite of spider or anything, or a snake bite on an Amavasi, it's a new moon, that is much more than the normal day. This you can see in all that the influence of the stars, influence the sun and moon. See, when you take the plants for example, the sap of a tree is more when it is in the morning, but when you take in the evening, the sap will be less. Like that, influence of the stars, influence of the sun, influence of the moon, that is always there. Why Chandra, the moon, is called the Oshadhinam Raja, the Raja of Oshadhi? Because that is showering all the time the power and potency to the all herbs to in healing. So like that, those influences are always there, and there are certain times in which it becomes negative and have a negative impact in everything. And when that negativity comes, there this kind of virus and other bacteria and fungal, these things can easily enter and destroy. So they take the time and utilize the time properly. When it is a bad time, the atmosphere is not good. And also the same thing happening, same impact will be there in a human body, less immunity at that time of your eclipse or at the time of your seasonal transit. So that is the right time for. And the Sandhya, for example, evening time, it is much easier to enter when there is a junction of the day and night. So like that, lot of beings are there. And there is a wide description about that in Ayurvedic books like scriptures like Sushruta Samhita about the external elements. But a different word is used, its different interpretation is there. We got fungal infection or viral infection or bacterial infection. We use the word bhutas. So the notion today is the bhuta is something like a demon, like a witches or angel. No, it's not just that. Any kind of element, minute, that can survive in the atmosphere can also survive in a human body. So there is a chance, likely a possibility to enter also, and they are called the bhutas. It is not happening only in the diseases or the psychological diseases or psychosomatic conditions that this reflection or the influence of this grihas or the bhutas happening in human body. Each and every time there is a possibility. So these elements are not just the grihas alone or the invisible spirit, and sometimes it is subtle elements. These subtle elements are in the physical diseases. The Aupasargika Roga, the examples mentioned in Dalhana and others are Masurika and Shitalika. Masurika is smallpox and Shitalika is chickenpox. these are infectious diseases spreading very quickly. And also, these diseases are also connected to some kind of invisible power. Because a chickenpox, its onset is either on Tuesday or on Friday in a human body. Why this particular day? And similarly, we consider it as a Devi Kopa or something like that Shitala Devi. And there is a special prayer for Shitala Devi in it. That Shitala Devi, the Anugraha, the blessings of Shitala Devi were seeking when you are getting sick. So it's also connected to some spiritual this thing. So that in Ayurveda there are 3 types of healing, and one is the spiritual healing, the divine force and the divine power. Where you use it actually, where you do not know the actual causes of the disease and why it happened and what's the cause, and similarly how to cure. So once you do not know the causes of it, you go back to your karmas, your past karmas. In that way you go to the divine power and use the spiritual healing. That is the thing. And that has tremendous power. Tremendous power. And I know some people got sick, the skin kind of sickness, and could completely recover from it by doing Surya Namaskar facing to the sun, which is called Pratyaksha Namaskar. So like that there are many healing powers. The healing power is not vested into the herbs or the minerals. The healing power is everywhere. Your thought has got a healing power. Your imagination, your sankalpa has got a healing power. And your japa has got a healing power. So like that your pranayama, that breathing has got a healing power. So everything has got a healing power once you know how to use them. Once you know how to use them, then you are free from sickness. So here the Aupasargika Roga, that is the communicable diseases, are Masurika and Shitaliga, that is mentioned in the Shastra, and it is said that it is due to Batha, and there are some kind of infection happening, and they are called the Bhutas. And the other side, you have the Bhutas, like in the Mansika Roga, or the mental diseases, that some invisible spirit entering in the body and overpowering your mind, that spirit start working. So it is very clearly, very vividly explained in the Balaroga Chikitsa, that is pediatrics, as well as in Manasika Roga. Similarly, in some Sharirika or Kaya Chikitsa, the physical diseases. So the influence of external elements is always there. And sometimes it makes you sick, sometimes not. If the infection is severe, that comes in the form of virus and attack, that is called Bhuta, and make you sick or causing to death. And that is the story behind it. So this word Bhuta is used in a wider sense. The entry of the subtle elements, that is interpreted in some way, that some of them as viral infection. So we are quite aware of what this virus is, and that is centuries ago that our Acharya has written down this in our manuscripts, and that still we are having it in the live form. So what is Bhuta actually? Bhuta is an invisible or undetectable element or spirit that can enter into a human body. So very clearly this Yajurveda says, Manishya Ubhadravakarina Sushma Ganavishesha Bhutaha. What is Bhuta? Manishya Ubhadravakarina, that causing disturbance to human beings in various ways. Sushmaha, subtle, it is not detectable. Ganavisheshaha, either subtle elements or spirits, called Bhuta. So it is very clear. It is not 1 or 2 or 100 or thousands. Kodi sahasrayuta patma sankhyaha, 1,000 crores 1,000 crores, Kodi Sahasra, Ayuta into 10, and Padma into 14. So that means infinite number of bhutas. Basically, there are 8 grahas. The influence of the celestial bodies, that influencing you in the form of infinite number of bhutas. So, and these bhutas, once they enter you, they are mainly affecting asrik, vasa, mamsa, bhuja, blood, vasa and muscle fat, then mamsa, the muscles. So, Charaka says that this is kind of jwara, fever. That fever is called Abhishangaja jwara. Abhishangaja jwara, a fever that is due to physical contact. Contact of something. It could be a contact of something. It could be a contact of Vishanila sparsha or Vishavrikshanila sparsha, that is poisonous or toxic. Vriksha of the trees, it comes from the trees, it comes from the plants, it comes from the minerals, it comes from the anything. And Anila, air. So sparsha, a touch of the air which is polluted, or the trees or the plants which are poisonous. See, only through the air it is passing. See, once you get a smell of a flower, the flower is at a distance from you. The flower is not close to your nose. The flower is there at a distance, and you are getting the fragrance of the flower. How do you get it? How this fragrance is coming to you? Who is carrying it? Air is carrying it. There is a slight wind, so that this air is taking it towards you. Once it's entering your nose, then you start smelling it. See, so the air can carry everything, because that is the only active agent, and that's the universal phenomena. And the same in a human body, that is the active principle is called Vata. Vata inside, and outside it is air or Vayu. So, it is something like Visha. That is why the death that is happening quickly. And that is a kind of care you need in this disease. It is like a poisonous bite. Suppose a cobra bite is there, you don't have much time, because this Visha is spreading so quickly in the system. Similarly, it is some kind of poison is entering in the form of virus, and it is poisoning your system in a mild way, and it becomes severe. It leads to death. So a death happens when it is poison. So an immediate death is happening only when there is some poison in it. That is a interesting thing. So there is some kind of abhishanga, or the poisonous that elements that entering in the system and spreading this poison into the dhatus. That's why you are getting it. So the treatment recommended in this case is Vishahara. That is some toxicity you should consider and give the treatments accordingly. So that each condition has got the treatment. So there is also that social distancing that is recommended. As I told earlier, that one should cover his face while sneezing, coughing and laughing, and cleanliness is there, and also other preventive measures like lifestyle. Lifestyle is something. Lifestyle is tuning with the nature is a lifestyle. I would recommend Ayurveda as the best lifestyle, because it is very much close to or cope up with the environment. You know the nature, and you know the identity of yourself with the nature, and you are connecting yourself with nature, and that is what Ayurveda does. So it is much easier if you follow the Ayurvedic lifestyle of daily morning getting up early and doing your japa and doing exercise and applying oil, taking bath. Like that, there is a routine that is mentioned. The seasonal routines are there, daily routines are there, the food is recommended, and many other things are there. There is a shloka that Parishramo midaharo bhukata vachini sudo tau anadritya nevaham vaidymanyam samashre. Parishramo midaharo. Parishrama is exercise. Physical exertion is parishrama. Midahara is moderate diet. These are the two essential requirements for your health. Bhugada Ashwinis though, and they are considered to be Ashwins. Ashwins are the gods or the physicians of the gods. Ashwini Kumara, they call, there are twins, two people are there. So like that, there are two things in your life. One is exercise, the physical exertion, and the other is Mitahara, the moderate diet. These are the two physicians on earth. Disregarding them, I do not want to go to any other physician on this earth. I depend on these two things, so I don't need to go to any physician. There is a saying like that, So Ahara is very important, and Vyayama, exercise, yoga is an exercise. It is not an exercise for the time. I consider yoga as a lifetime exercise. Yoga as a lifetime exercise. And Dinacharya, then Rasayanas for rejuvenation. And Anjana. Anjana is particularly important. Anjana is the collyrium that Ayurvedic preparations as collyrium that you put into your eyes. Because infection easily happens to the eye. That is why you are getting the netravision, the conjunctivitis and all that easily spreading. So any kind of poison can easily spread into or enter into the body through the eyes. So putting Anjana and protecting your eyes is one of the best thing. It's a kind of masking yourself. And Dhupana or fumigation, that's a good thing that you with Karpura, Chandana. This is good for distancing the evil spirits. There are many things too. So there is also certain kind of instructions like Vishaharehi Agadehi Vilipya Vadya Vijitranya Vivadayel. Vishaharehi Agadehi Vilipya. Smear your body with some kind of paste of Chandan, Karpura, then Agil and many other herbs, for that you get a complete covering and protection of your body from these kind of infections. So another thing is Vadya Vijitrani Vadayel. Vadya Vijitrani, drumming and clapping and drumming, fumigation and smearing paste. Like that, there are many kinds of protection. It is said in Sushruta that Vadyasya Shabdena hi yandi nasham vishani ghoranyabhiyani santi. Vadyasya Shabdena. Vadya means drumming. By drumming with the sound of the drum, Vishani ghorani, even very serious poison will be fused and become powerless with the sound of a drum. It is very interesting in Veshachikilsa to avoid snake bite. In olden times when people walk, they use a stick to make sound only while walking, that is touching on stones and the earth, making some sound with the stick and walk so that the snakes won't come and bite you. Even if it bites, it won't have the that kind of severe poisoning. So to distancing that, there is a kind of methods. So Vadyasya Shabdena, by the sound of the Vadya, drum, that Vishani Nasham, Visha, the poison is getting destroyed, even Ghora, very severe kind of poison. So these things are very much explained because it is an Atega Vyadhi. Atega means that cause immediate death. See, let us go to the Lakshanas of this disease. Lakshana means symptoms. As I told earlier, that there are two types of things. That's the general categorization, that is mild attack and severe attack. In mild attack, there is fever. That is one thing, as I told earlier, that is pneumonia or kind of fever, loss of appetite, you don't feel to eat, no hungry, and fatigue, severe fatigue, sore throat, loss of smell and shortness of breath, cough, sputum and muscle ache, nausea, that is vomiting, headache, diarrhea. So these symptoms could appear, some of them or all of them. These are in a mild attack of this virus. See, when I examined all this, I realized that this is called Laghu Vyadhi. There are two types of Vyadhi, Laghu, light, and Guru Vyadhi, that is severe. So this is coming in the category of Laghu Vyadhi, in a light, simple way, that there is an attack of virus. So these, whatever I explained now as fever, loss of appetite, fatigue, these are not disease. These are symptoms of disease. So you have a fever, and that fever has got all these symptoms. These symptoms are very unusual, not the normal symptoms of a fever. That's where we are perplexed and we do not know what to do, because this is very unusual symptoms, so not easy to find out disease medicine for that. That is a problem today that the modern medicine is facing. And second thing, that the other category, which is severe, there will be walking difficulty as a symptom and total confusion, bluish lips and face, and vomiting blood, and getting persistent chest pain, and decrease of white blood cells, kidney damage, high fever, loss of speech. This is another category, and much more. Not exactly all this, sometimes much more. So in this, some of the cases that you see, that it goes to some other disease, like when the white cells decrease is there, or kidney trouble is there, you have to consider it as a different disease. In that condition, it is not easy to cure, because multiple problems are there, not a single problem. It's not just the coronavirus alone. So people are mostly dying with all this, because it's an Upasarga Vyadhi. That means when you are already sick, you get this sickness without any kind of symptoms and start manifesting that, overpowering the sickness that you already have. Very interesting. So once you have this kidney problem, or once you have a diabetic, and once you are a heart patient, it is easy for the Upasargiya Vyadhi, this communicable disease, to get entry and destroy. So mostly people are dying with that. The people who doesn't have this, people who do not have this immune power, because they are already sick, they lost the immune power, so the disease has got a chance to attack, and so death happens. So death happening mostly in condition of a severe attack, not a mild attack. Therefore, when you consider the death rate, then death rate is less compared to the rate of infection. So there are millions of people got infected, millions of people. A few lakhs people have already died. So even without medicine, even without any kind of management, apart from these precautions, that people still surviving. So that it is possible that it can be treated, because the number of death is lesser. So Ayurveda has an approach for that. So what I understood from this categorization of mild and severe, that in the mild attack, according to Ayurvedic point of view, the dosha kopa is mainly in the stomach and little in the rasa dhatu, that is first dhatu, where it is spread. So you can easily give a treatment for that, that focusing mainly on the stomach as a general treatment of jwara or fever. In the second one, it is also jwara, but it is more severe, because in the second one you examine that lakshanas, the symptoms appeared, then you can see that these symptoms are more of the dosha kopa that penetrated more into the dhatus, especially the rasa, rakta and mamsa dhatu. It is very clearly said that the rasa, rakta and mamsa are the dhatus mostly the virus attack, according to Ayurveda. So what is to be done here? That we have the medicine, I already told. The Ayurvedic style of treatment is normally that not a single medicine, because it is not a social medicine. As like in diabetic you have a particular medicine, or in in Parkinson you have got a syndopa medicine. Like that, a single medicine like in that disease is not the style of Ayurveda. Ayurveda, when it is holistic, it treating the patient, the individual. There is no concept of a social medicine in it. It's very much individualized. So in a particular condition to particular disease, particular dosha, particular dhatu, You diagnose it and give a proper treatment for that. It's not the medicine actually. Ayurvedic treatment or chikitsa, Ayurveda is chikitsa, treatment, not medicine. Chikitsa is a process. Chikitsa is a process. And that process medicine is just fitting into. So it is not the medicine really, it is a treatment in which you use the medicine. That's why you have plenty of medicine and plenty of choices. Such a choice that you cannot find, tremendous choice that you cannot find in any other system of medicine. The problem in Ayurveda that get accuracy and give the proper medicine. That is the difficult thing in it. You must be an experienced person and also well versed in the Shastra and having the in-depth knowledge of that. Then only it is possible. So, still I would say that it is possible. There are certain yogas, certain formulae by which you can approach or treat or manage this disease in every condition. That is before the onset as a precaution, and after that once you got sick in a condition of mild attack and also in a severe attack. In all these stages you can administer certain medicines, certain yogas. It is not a single herb idea, that Ottamuli, that is not the idea here, because you have a complex situation here. Ottamuli is not sufficient or insufficient in that particular complex situation, so that you need a formula which can manage and work against that complexity. So for that you need to use the yogas. So there are certain yogas like I know that one yoga in which it is said Shleshmajwaram Nashayet Koshtarthi Shwasana Agnisada Kasana Aruji Asya Choshanyudam. This is a particular type of kashaya mentioned in Jwararoga or fever, which is exactly good in all conditions of COVID-19. See, Shleshmajwaram Nashayet. Shleshmajwara is Kapha Jwara, fever due to Kapha. And that is really happening here. I told it earlier that it is a kind of kleda. So it's a Shleshmajwara, a particular kashayam that is good for Shleshmajwara. And Koshtarthi, Koshtam in the stomach, intestine, that area is called Koshta. And Koshtarthi, ache, pain in the stomach, indigestion, and many other complications of the digestive system. Agnisada, not having proper digestion. Agni, the digestive fire, is getting depleted. In that condition it is good. And Kasana, coughing. In both cases there is coughing as symptoms, in the mild as well as in the severe. In the mild the coughing is normal coughing with the sputum, in the other one it is blood. Aruchi, not having hungry or appetite, and Asya sore throat. See, all these are the symptoms of this disease. So all symptoms are specified one by one here. So in that time also it is realized that there is a kind of disease. So there is no new disease. New disease is not the idea of Ayurveda. There are certain diseases which are not appearing in certain period of time. That is there. There is some contemporary diseases, diseases of this present time because of particular lifestyle, particular seasons and particular kala, that certain kind of diseases are forming. So that certain diseases are there which are dormant, not appearing certain period. So if a new disease is found, it indicates that this disease was dormant for some time. It was not manifested for some time and started manifesting. So with that idea you approach and create a kind of treatment for that. So like that, there is another yoga in which it is said, Mrityukalpam Jaram Haret. Mrityukalpam, Mrityujan, Maranam, that death. Mrityukalpam, that causing death. So the kind of jara, fever, that causing immediate death, this is the medicine. So that's also happening in this. So like that, there are certain kinds of kashayams like or other medicines that are good for poisoning the system and happening the jara at the same time. So once we just have a look and search in the Samhitas or scriptures, then we would be able to find out lot more of this medicines in it. So medicine is not a problem. So we have the treatment in Ayurveda of two types. One is Shodhana, the instantaneous cleansing, and other is Shamana, that is subsiding the doshas by giving medicine and mild treatment. So in that case, in this case of infectious diseases, the first thing, like this pandemic situation, the best thing is not the Shodhana always. I would recommend the Shamana treatment. But wherever it is required, the Shodhana has been given the priority. But generally, the Shamana treatment with medication would be the best. So, this is a spontaneous outbreak. You don't know when it comes and what happens, spontaneous, which we are not prepared. So, that there's a lot of effort to find out what kind of treatments or what kind of medicines to be administered. And another thing what I recommend in this is the yoga. Take yoga as a lifestyle. Like Ayurveda recommends many different lifestyle, and also yoga is a lifestyle. Take it as a lifestyle. And you can have the Nadi Shuddhi pranayama for that. That cleans the entire system. So once you do the pranayama itself boosting your energy and also boosting your immunity. The thing is that it is like dusting, that remove the or sucking the dust from the house. That every day you sweep your house, sweep rooms and everything and make it clean. Like that prana that is moving everywhere in the system is cleaning your entire system, the nadis, the organs and the all different pathways. Everything is getting cleaned by that. So if it is like you are wiping your house that every day and making it clean, same way that your body is cleaned every day, so that you can boost your immunity. So these are the general ideas about it, and so this is the idea of this is to create some kind of awareness, some kind of Ayurvedic inputs that people should be aware of what Ayurveda can do and what challenges that we can make, and that way how much we can innovate the ideas and practically use Ayurveda. So with these few words that I conclude, and thank you very much.